Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. We got a lot of things to catch up on today because you might have noticed we had one fantasy football podcast and then none after that.
Yeah.
One for a few reasons. Okay, one, my team has been trash.
And my team was great at the beginning of the year.
My team's been trash, and so it's like, why even talk about it? This is stupid. Football is dumb. Can't believe people watch this game. And then also, it's just the time factor of like getting those up fast enough. So sorry if you actually cared about those fantasy football.
Right. We did do a week 2 podcast, and I completely forgot to edit it. And I always yell at Dusty for not editing quick enough. And I went like a week and didn't even edit that.
And it hasn't been edited at all.
Yeah.
So.
And it's still just sitting in
the archives.
And yeah. So sorry guys. We have a couple like that actually.
But this is running down towards the end of the fantasy football season, and Andrew and I
we have an interesting matchup.
We do.
It's come down to the wire.
So currently my team is in 6th place. And Andrew is in 7th place. We are tied, same record, 5-7. I just jumped you this week. That's actually super exciting. I didn't even see that.
You did. So I was sitting on the crapper this morning, and I looked at standings. I was like, oh, are you kidding me?
Are you?
So let's go back to my team being amazing.
At
the first 6-7 weeks of this season, I was breaking records. I was setting the highest score ever in our fantasy league. I was consistently in the 130 to 150 range, and, I was unstoppable. But I was always in that 5th, 6th range because the guy I always played would be the one guy who could have beat me that week.
Yeah, you had the interesting schedule that seems to happen often to us is I have the most points for my team, but also the most points against my team.
Yes.
And so every week you might be the top 2-3 scores of the week, but you played the guy that had just a slight edge above you.
Yeah, that's how my first 5 to 6 weeks were all season. And my bye week, which was, really I had 3 bye weeks this week. 3. I have such a good team that my I had 2 to 3 key players that would go on bye week each week from week 8, week 9, and week 10. And I just went downhill, and I couldn't break over 100 points. And then I've just gone downhill ever since. And now my team is trash. And Dusty has this really amazing.
My team, the second half of the season, has really, I think I've won the last 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, something like that.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
At one point, I was in last place. And I was like, I have never been in last place in the league ever. Like, I was a little embarrassed. And glad that we weren't in one of those tattoo leagues or something where you had to do something stupid.
So it was so bad, I didn't even talk trash to Dusty.
Yeah, I was just like, this is ridiculous. But I drafted my team a little different than I normally do. I have 3 different leagues, and so I was trying to diversify the strategies, because all I need to do is win one, and I'm making $200 and, I have $75 buy-ins. So it was... If I win one league, we're good, On this league, I strategized end of the season, mainly the playoffs, fantasy football playoffs. When it came to drafting this player, I picked which one had the better schedule for the playoffs. So if I can get in, because normally what would happen is I would be the top 2 or 3 teams going into the playoffs, and then I'd have like really tough matchups by my team. And so then I'm like... I just fall flat and I get upset, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying this year, don't worry about getting the best player who has the best matchup, and hopefully that'll push me through the edge. Now, Patrick Mahomes has not been my homie this season.
He has not.
He has, and I took him rather high for a quarterback. And
wasn't he your first pick?
No,
as quarterback,
as my quarterback, yeah, but he was like maybe my second round pick.
Yeah, I think he was second.
And so that's a no typically, but he just had such a high ceiling that I just had to take the risk, because if you get him and he's got this year is Lamar Jackson, you should have got Lamar Jackson. You could have had him in the 8th or 9th round.
Yep,
and he is just dominating right now, just insane.
So I have Russell Wilson, who has been just extravagant this year. And this week, Russell Wilson only got 10 points. He is the reason I lost this week.
Now, I have the unsung hero of my team is Derrick Henry, running back for the Tennessee Titans. That dude, I don't know how many 50-plus, 60-plus yard touchdowns he has this season, but the guy is running better than any running back out there, better than Elliott, better than Kamara, all those guys. He's the one carrying my team, really. The last 3 weeks, he's had 24 points, 33 points, 28 points. I think he had a 75-yard touchdown run this week. When you see that alert pop up on your phone, it's like, ooh, this is a good day. And I also played the whole draft Kareem Hunt, who's not going to play the first half of the season, knowing that I might get him the second half of the season, a fresh dude, injuries at running back on multiple teams, and so they're all on their second-string guys, and I got a guy who is a arguably first-string guy, especially with catching the ball, because they've been using him as the pass catcher.
It's so weird. You say arguably a first-string guy. Kareem Hunt is a first-string running back.
But Chubb is doing so well. That's what I'm saying. He's splitting carries, splitting time, but he's getting more receptions, and so they're going for more yards.
You know who's running back isn't injured right now? The 49ers, because they use 6 strings of
6
running backs.
Oh, let's not talk about that game, Andrew.
Oh, that was an amazing game?
I made the mistake of going to Andrew's house as me, a Packers fan, as Andrew, a 49ers fan, and just watched the Packers, watch the cheeseheads get shredded.
Yes.
We had shredded cheese for... You start serving that for your meals now when you go to football. Shredded cheese.
I like that. I should have had shredded cheese there yesterday.
And it was terrible, but there was enough Packer fans there to buffer the smack talk from Andrew. And so
I didn't smack talk once, I don't think.
You didn't. It was already over by the time I got there. I didn't even get there by halftime, and it was like the game was over.
Yeah, it was 28-0 at halftime, I think.
Oh, man, it was just so sad.
But, you can't count Aaron Rodgers out, and so I was not I wasn't talking trash because I knew Aaron Rodgers can throw 4 Hail Marys with 2 minutes to go.
Now, we did do some bet. I can't remember what it was. It was like throwing cheese and catching it in your mouth or something like that.
Yes.
And there was some bet, and Andrew was going to wear my Packers hat and cheer for the Packers, basically, until they score again. And I was like, oh, take that bet. Well, I won the bet. He lost, so he had to put on the hat.
It hurt. I wanted to cry.
And it was like a tighter hat. It was like one of those fitted hats, but hasn't really been stretched out. It's like basically brand new, so it even hurt my head, but it was way tighter on your fat head.
Oh, that's not even what it just hurt to wear Packers anything.
So he's cheering on him the score, and I was like, Andrew, I didn't say at the end of this game. I had a little bit more compassion on you, seeing how much pain you were in wearing that hat. So I allowed the bet to be over after the game, but I really should have kept it going.
Man.
I just felt bad.
Yeah.
Plus, I wanted my hat back.
That's true. And actually, so you gave me your hat. I ended up giving your hat to your wife, and your wife gave me her hat. Yeah. So I wore her hat because it was the snapbacks.
Yeah, so you could open it up a little bit.
Right. So that is how our fantasy, Dusty and I are playing each other this week.
Winner gets in the playoffs. Loser sits out and watches. This is going to be a good week.
No. Loser goes to the Sacco.
Loser goes to the Sacco. And currently I am projected to win by 11 points.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
But
hopefully Julio Jones, who is questionable, decides to sit out. Hopefully.
I hope he does too.
Oh.
Julio jacks me over every week. He is the reason I lose.
You just rather not have the opportunity to play him?
Yes.
So then you don't have to worry about
Exactly. Because I know, he's projected, 18 points? Hold up, where is he at? Yeah, he's projected 18.9 points.
So this is where my strategy,
He'll give me 12.
Fish, was hopefully coming into play. You have Russell Wilson playing the 49ers, good defense. You have Samuel playing Baltimore, good defense. You have Cook playing against Seattle.
Wait. Sorry, we got to go back to Debo. Baltimore has Jalen Ramsey, who is good, and they have a good line.
Baltimore doesn't have Ramsey. They have Marcus Peters.
There we go.
Yep.
Peters, sorry, who shadows
Peter.
everybody. Like, that dude is all over the field. And they have a good line. Debo is not their star. Peters will be on Sanders.
You're hoping that you just get a bunch of checkdowns.
Right.
So then you have Cook, who's playing Seattle. That's Preston. You have Julio Jones, who would be playing New Orleans if he plays. So you just have a tough matchup this week with half your team.
Yes.
Going against. And I've got Mahomes versus Oakland. I've got Landry versus Pittsburgh. I've got.
Hey, wait. He's going to get smacked on the head with a helmet.
I've got Kamara versus a
Browns.
2-win Atlanta team. Have they won twice or just once? I can't remember.
I think they won 2.
I got Kareem Hunt versus Pittsburgh. I got Derrick Henry versus Indy. I got a lot of Cleveland players on my team. What the heck? Anyways, all that to say, I'm going to destroy you. And I might play Gurley this week because they're playing in Arizona.
Arizona's a good defense,
I don't
though.
know where to fit him in.
I wouldn't do it.
Arizona's not a good defense.
Against running backs, they are. Look at the Niners when they played Arizona. The Niners arguably had the best running offense right now, and they couldn't do anything against Arizona.
Well, that was our fantasy football update. Sorry we didn't keep you informed as the season went, but you didn't miss much besides a lot of crying and complaining.
Yeah, it was a very
Which is
up and
the
down.
topic of this podcast. That's really the theme.
It really is.
Is crying and complaining.
It is.
Whether it's about sports, whether it's about church, whether it's about work, whatever.
Or each other.
It's
a lot of crying and complaining.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our topic.
What is the topic, Andrew? You're the one that called this meeting.
I did. I called the meeting of the minds to discuss our thoughts.
Our thoughts about what?
Just our thoughts in general. Do we, I forget how I worded it to you, but are we responsible for our thoughts, essentially? Because we can't really control our thoughts. Here's an example. I don't cuss. But in my mind, in my thoughts, I can be cussing somebody out up and down, up one side, down the other. But it's not even what I want to say or what I am going to say. But for some reason, it's in my mind. So are we accountable for that?
My thought, firsthand, hearing it before we talk it out, and then hopefully be corrected by our pastor or somebody later.
Or somebody.
By the way, let's just say a funny story. One of the pastors at our church on our last episode texted us and was like, "Can I offer a rebuttal?" So somebody over there is listening, which is scary. So, anyways, we won't go into why he's not on the episode, but
we won't go into details.
We won't go into details, but
because I don't want to hear him complain
again. You know,
although that is what this podcast is.
Yeah. Just to begin, thoughts are hard because, like, there's times where I kind of struggle with anxiety. I struggle with very self-destructive thoughts personally. I don't know. Like, that was one of the things at Celebrate Recovery that I've talk about all the time is, like, why can't I control my thoughts? Like, I don't want to think these things, but yet I do. And so I think there's, like, maybe a boundary, because I would say some of those things are in your heart, and that's why the thoughts happen. So you could say, well, your heart is bad, and so you decide to cuss people out because that's really what you want to do in your heart. You know, so maybe there's an issue there, but at the same time, Bible says, like, in your anger don't sin.
Right.
You know, so it's not a sin to be angry, but, you know, your actions as a result of that anger. So maybe it's the same thing with thoughts. Like, how you act on those thoughts is where the action or the problem arrives, maybe?
Well, see, and I, like, just using the cussing thing for an example, I feel so dirty or crummy afterward, or, like, when I think those thoughts. But it's like, how do I can't control them. They just come. And so it's like, how do I repent for those? Do I need to get baptized again?
Did I lose my salvation? That's where I would say maybe there is something. I have had more of a pot, and I would say it does upset me every time I call you. Like, I have kids in the car. Don't say anything, because I'm like, half the time, 90% of the time, I'm not saying anything stupid. But
there's that chance.
There's that chance. But it would be like more of an anger mindset. Like, in my anger, I do sin by saying things not to anybody, just out loud, just to myself. I start speaking those thoughts, I guess is what you could say. So those thoughts in my head, I start speaking them out loud to myself or whatever. I look like a crazy person, but that's what I do. And so I would say that part is the sin. I'm allowing those thoughts to now control my actions. And I don't know, like, so I would say maybe like shows I'm watching or music I'm listening to might influence those thoughts more. Maybe that's true. I think there's some truth there.
Yeah,
like,
there is.
Where you're surrounding yourself in those times is kind of the same thing. Like I like rap and hippity hop music. And Andrew, you're gonna enjoy this. So there's moments where I'm just had a rough day or whatever, and I have a choice: Christian rap, basically, or
Eminem.
Am I not even Eminem? Like, am I just gonna go into the top 100? Is usually what I hit.
Gotcha.
On Apple top 100 rap, whatever. All of it's trash. You know, trashy thoughts, trashy whatever. You know, which is another whole nother topic of how, like, it's okay to write some disrespectful things to women in songs, and that's cool, but say those same lyrics to the woman face to face, and all of a sudden you're, sexist or whatever.
Right.
But I have that choice. Like, what am I going to fill my mind with to control my mind? Am I going to allow it to be controlled and just continue to fuel it through, these lyrics, or am I going to calm it down through these lyrics? And I said you're going to like this because, who is your all-time favorite rapper?
Eminem.
Who's your all-time Christian favorite rapper?
So I have Tadashi.
Okay. So I listen to Triple E a lot.
Okay.
And that's been my all-time favorite, kind of my all-time favorite rapper, really. I like Eminem too, but
I'm going to have to expound upon that, but go ahead.
My all-time favorite rapper, I think, is Triple E. I listen to a lot of Triple E. But Tadashi shows up on his featured artists.
Right.
They collab a lot. So
yeah.
I've been, Triple E, I don't think has put out an album since 2016. So I was like, I need some new stuff going on. So let's see what Tadashi's got going on. And dude, Tadashi's
a beast, dude.
Dude, man. It's good stuff. So,
I know. I love Tadashi.
So you've been telling me to listen to him forever, and I'm just like, now you're finally. I never wanted to listen to him because you always said to listen to him.
Well, it's because I like rap or hip hop, and so I know who's good. Like right now, I'm actually on an NF kick, so I've been listening to a lot of NF. Mm-hmm. And again, I found him. So I found Tadashi through Triple E. I found NF through Tadashi. And so it's just like this ladder. So now let me expand upon Eminem.
Okay.
Yes, he is my all-time favorite because I don't believe there's anybody who is as talented lyrically. The guy has a God-given talent, and I wish he used it for God, but he uses it in the best way he knows how and the way he was raised. And there's just nobody who can match him lyrically.
Yeah, his lyrics are always fire.
Yeah, and they're not the greatest lyrics, but I mean, the words he can combine and the speed at which he can do it is just amazing. So that's why I love him. I don't listen to him now. Yes, there is that time when I'm angry and I don't want to listen to Christian rap.
Yeah,
and
you want to be angry,
right? And so I don't do that top 100. I just go straight to Eminem, and I listen. I mainly listen to his recovery album because he put his heart and soul into that. And in my opinion, his recovery album is his heart.
I was going to say the one album you don't listen to is the recovery because that's kind of calming you down a little bit.
Right.
It's kind of telling you like, don't go off the deep end. Like, come back. So it's kind of like if you want to fuel your anger, you listen to some other albums. You don't listen to the recovery album. That's the one album that might bring you back to.
Listen to his Marshall Mathers album. It's so crazy because, in his earlier albums, he's dissing everybody, including Elton John, because Elton John is gay, and Eminem despises gay people. But his Recovery album is inspired by Elton John, and Elton John helped him write his Recovery album because Elton John went through the same things that Eminem went through, the same drug addictions, and Elton John pulled Eminem out of that dark place and was his accountability partner and his the only friend really there for him all the way through that.
So good on Elton John, because somebody like that could have just rooted for their failure.
Right.
And instead
of that, he came to his rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that touched me also. So
you were touched by Elton John?
I was yes. Since we're going there, and Michael Jackson. And
So thoughts, Andrew. Back to thoughts.
All right, so yeah, now that I've expanded on that, let's go back to our thoughts.
I think that there's a fill your mind with the right thoughts. There's that aspect of it. So, maybe that sin starts before your thoughts come out. Is what are you feeling?
Which I feel I do a pretty good job at filling my heart, and because I only listen to Christian music.
I only watches Lizzie McGuire.
You're right. As we discussed Sunday. Oh, that's another episode, Dusty. I only watch more of the good, wholesome shows, not really dirty shows. I despise reality shows, Dusty. Bachelor in Paradise.
Hey.
Yeah. Because
right now we're also watching this new show called 90 Day Fiancé.
What the frick?
It's just funny, Andrew. It's just like these people can't be real, but they are. And where they meet over, like they have like a girlfriend overseas, which is really funny. It's like a guy like myself that finds a model in Sweden. The model says she loves me, but she really wants just to move to
the green
America.
card.
And so they get a K9. It's called 90 Day Fiancé because they get a K9 visa, so they have to be married within 90 days of coming to the States, or they go back. And so it's just like seeing this funny like Puerto Rican woman coming in wanting a new iPhone and all these clothes, and the guy is like living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's an Uber driver for his full-time job, and like can't afford those kind of things. So it's just the drama in those shows, and there's like 10 couples, and so it's just so funny. Andrew, it's so funny. 90 Day Fiancé.
See, these shows just they perpetuate the stereotypes, and
stereotypes exist for a reason, though.
And their ratings are sex based.
Yeah,
which it shouldn't be. That's the type of stuff I try to avoid. Now I say that I did turn on.
Well, they don't have sex in.
It's
not in this show.
They don't talk about it anyways.
In this show, it's not like Bachelor in Paradise where they're bouncing from couple to couple. Like,
right.
They're actually just following a couple's story. But
yeah, see, this one sounds a little more funny, but I don't think I can get into it.
Yeah, it's okay, Andrew. You don't let me do the girl stuff. You can.
As you're. Oh, man, if this was a video podcast.
You can't see my. That's so funny. Speaking of video, I do kind of want to do some YouTube stuff, so maybe we can record some videos. Maybe I can lose about 30 pounds, and then we can start recording some videos.
Can we just use Photoshop for that?
Not for videos. You have to go frame by frame. Maybe I can squeeze it in just horizontally, like squeeze the video.
We could just wear Spanx for the video.
We could wear nothing, then we just have to blur it.
Dude.
Then you can't see our bodies anyway.
Dude, except for the blur would be huge.
Yeah, it'd be the whole screen. Whole screen, but our faces are the only thing you can see.
I like this. If we're doing that, do we have to be nude though? Can we just wear nude color clothing?
Andrew, we got a role play. We got to get.
No, I'm not role playing nude.
Method act, Andrew. We are method acting. Get nude. Do this.
Dusty,
video.
I'm not role playing with you while I'm nude. No.
Sorry about that. Let's go back to thoughts.
See, those are the thoughts.
Was that a sin? Was me thinking about being nude with Andrew?
Okay, so depends. Did you
Talk about Elton John, and our thoughts just go crazy, Andrew. Yeah. Back to thoughts. What are thoughts going?
Okay, so in this case, we didn't just think it; we verbalized it, so we acted upon
Yeah.
it.
So that's the sin. I spoke out the thoughts.
But now, wait. Being nude isn't a sin, though. And so
That's
right now,
true.
we've only talked about being nude. We haven't talked about anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't going.
And
that
I'm not
route.
thinking. I'm not even thinking that route.
Yeah, I was just
Now
thinking
I'm
about two guys hanging nude.
But now, see, I'm thinking about being on a nude beach.
You know, Creed hanging brain. Nothing wrong with that. If that's flashing, lock me up.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just maybe that's how we watch the football game, Andrew. Maybe Sunday we just hang nude, watch football,
Yeah, let's not.
and blur it out.
Let's not.
It's not okay. It was just,
Again-
the option's there.
We can wear nude color clothing,
That's
but make sure it matches your skin complexion.
maybe I get a body double. No, that's never mind. That's just a bad idea.
Yeah, you get a body double. I'll get a body double. They can watch together
they can
nude.
watch the game together. Tell us about it. We won't be there. We're not going to film it.
All right, deal. We'll do that. All right, guys. So what do you think? Are our thoughts enough to condemn us?
What are some things that you do to help control your thoughts? Because that's one of my issues is my thoughts can just start compacting on each other real fast. And
Yes.
I lose control. And so what are some of the things that you do? And let's just throw out get the obvious answers out of prayer and Bible reading.
Right. and the music and the shows.
Yeah,
we get that.
We get those. But even through prayer, I've prayed while those thoughts are racing through my mind. But what are some things I can do before then?
If you're going to say meditation, that's the same thing as praying.
There's prayer and meditation. But what are some things that you do before to maybe calm down those thoughts? Or if you know you struggle with certain thoughts, what are some things that you do to proactively not struggle with those thoughts?
So it's kind of strange that we brought. I wanted to talk about this today, and it's strange that we waited until today. Yesterday, just out of the blue, I texted you and said, "Hey, let's record tomorrow." And normally you have excuses, and we don't. And when you said yes, I was like, "What?"
Well, actually, I didn't respond to you for like
That's
2
true.
hours because I was hanging Christmas lights.
And
That's another topic.
And I said, ignoring me doesn't make it go away.
But if you
So-
ignore the thoughts,
But then I had a
Go away.
devotion this morning. And guess what my devotion was on?
your thoughts.
Yes.
That's remarketing at its finest. That's Facebook remarketing right there.
No, because
I'm joking.
I actually,
You know when you read something or you think
Yeah.
something and then you get an ad for it.
Right,
you
right,
think,
right.
I wonder what I want for Christmas, and you get the thing you want for Christmas that
Right.
you've been thinking about.
so here's how weird this is. We finished, my men's group, we finished our study yesterday. And normally the leader picks the topic. Well, last week somebody else chose a topic, and this week, instead of the leader just throwing one out, he was like, "Hey guys, who wants to choose the next one?" And I went in, I found one, and I was like, that sounds really good. So I said, "Hey, let's do this one. Let's start this tomorrow," so which is today. And so day one of this new devotion we're doing is literally on your thoughts. And I chose this before I didn't, even when I chose this devotion, I didn't know what it was really about. I didn't know what every day was about. And so day one happens to be about thoughts. And so it's coincidence that I wanted to talk to you about thoughts, that the day one is on thoughts. And so I was doing it this morning.
That's why you were late? You were reading your Bible?
I was actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So Buddha said, "We are shaped by our thoughts. We become
Wait.
Right? That's it. Yes.
Back up.
You caught it.
You're reading. Which Bible are you reading?
The Holy Bible, the Jesus-inspired red-lettered Bible.
But they couldn't find a quote by Jesus. They decided to find a quote by Buddha.
So
Okay,
they.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know, right? I had the same thought this morning. I was like, really, Buddha? So I did go back. I was like, okay, this is a Christian. Anyways, so the first they started with Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So your thoughts control what you do, essentially. If you think you can do it. If you think you can't do it, then yeah. Which is why I think I can do everything. Because if you already think failure, then you're going to fail, in my opinion. And then Buddha also said, we are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. Teddy Roosevelt, believe you can, and you're halfway there. Marcus Aurelius, he was a Roman general, I believe. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And then Dale Carnegie, I believe of Carnegie Hall, the super rich Carnegies in the early 1900s that owned all the steel. Our thoughts make us what we are. So these 5 quotes all really, they're saying that your thoughts control you and your thoughts are what you are going to become.
Your thoughts lead to action.
Right. Although, not all of my thoughts do. Because I'm not thinking, okay, so the thoughts that I'm talking about in this podcast are the subconscious thoughts, the ones that they just pop up. They're not really what I'm trying to think of or what I believe. That's what I'm talking about. And then it goes on to talk about about Paul in Romans 12, my favorite verse, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. That word renewing is, in Greek, translates to renovation. So he's actually saying renovate your thoughts and renovate your mind, which are your thoughts, to be new. That's your scripture version of this podcast.
And just realized that Andrew was probably in the bathroom while he was reading that.
No, probably. I was.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.